Joswefi, the tiny wiggle queen. I was still in studio mode. And guess what doesn't happen when you're in studio mode? Transitions.
Wow. Hello. I'm waiting for my Twitch that I can see that I'm actually on, so I can wave.
Yeah.
Right
Discord
time.
will be a little bit earlier than you're
Hi, people
watching.
of the chat.
Yes, it is Joswefi. I just put your label as Joswefi because I'm like, you know what?
It's totally fine.
It's a lot.
That's my original name.
Yes. And that is the name that is on the cover of your new record, your new song, your new single. Yes. So amazing. And yes, welcome Joswefi to the stream. I love it. So because when we do Acco talk about it, I tend to stalk people on their social media, right? Like Joswefi knows, like I will stalk and pull pieces of information out of their social media. But the thing is about Joswefi, I actually know a lot about her. And so I do have actually some questions for you, believe it or not, things we haven't covered either in our vocal coaching sessions or my health coaching sessions. For anybody who doesn't know, I did some vocal coaching for Joswefi before it's over. Yeah, that's a tongue twister. Before it's over. Yeah. And then as I don't want to say as a thank you, but as pro bono for health coaching, we have been working together, and I've been journaling and working on my health homework, and I'm loving it. And so we have been chatting quite a lot the past 3-4 months, I would say. Maybe, I don't know, ish there.
Yes, something like that, probably.
Yes. Yeah.
I forgot about what is time anyway.
No, I would have to look back at our meetings with Carmela, because as y'all know as well, if you didn't know, now you're going to know. Carmela is one of the producers of Before It's Over. She also laid down the guitars, the bass, and did all the string tracking. And so I did vocals and piano, Joswefi did vocals, and then Carmela's drummer, Matt Sweeto, did the drums on it. And then my bass player did all the mixing. Phil Stewart did all the mixing. And so it's a family affair. We all pulled our favorite people into it. And I want hugely to talk about what that process has been like. But before we get into that, I kind of want to lay a groundwork, because I recognize that just because I know a lot about Joswefi, a lot of y'all don't know a lot about Joswefi. And I want to kind of spread the knowledge. And so a lot of you know that Joswefi's branding is that she is a health coach and, quote, not a musician.
Hello. Yes.
Not a musician. Okay, but I think she's accidentally a musician. But I want to go back, because yes, Carmela, I'm so glad. Yeah. It was such a fun, she's a liar. Yeah, it was such a fun collaboration. And Before It's Over is actually my first true collaboration to be put out like officially across all platforms. Just so you know, it's my first streamer collab. Yeah. Sorry. Now you're a musician. Sorry about it.
Oh.
Damn.
I'll never be a musician, and I'm gonna do a thing on Saturday which has to do with music, which terrifies me. So
yes, we will definitely need to promote that when we get to the end. I want to send a reminder about that, because I'll probably be tuning in as well. So Joswefi is a health coach and, quote, not a musician, but whatever. And I know that music has been a part of her life since she was very young. But this is where I want to start asking you questions, because I actually don't know some of these answers. I know that you have loved Celine Dion and Michael Jackson since you were very young. And honestly, I want to know more about your inspirations and ultimately what your decision was like to go to school for music business development. How they connect.
Wow. That's a big question. I've always, since I was very young, I've always loved music. And my family, I remember me and my sisters being like, we had these absolute, they had different numbers, absolute 40 albums that came out when I was little, and we used to buy them and we used to play them in our living room, and we used to dance and do all the sorts of things and like perform. And one Christmas we had a ping pong table for some reason for like a dinner because we had relatives over. And then when it was like over, we kind of stood on the ping pong table and danced and like to music and performed. And I've always done those kinds of things with my friends and with my sisters. So I guess I've always had that kind of like interest in music in that sense. Then my older sister used to dance, and she was always like into music in a different way than I was, funnily enough. But we used to have like MTV and stuff like that on, like when we were kind of young, I guess, like watching Michael Jackson videos, Spice Girls, Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears, all of those influences that we had in the 90s. And then also we kind of, when I was 5, actually, I'm gonna like go even like further back. But when I
dare
was 5,
you.
yeah, I was turning 5. I remember this so well. We were at home. I was turning 5, my birthday, which is in December, which is funny. So it was like, I remember it was dark. We had our TV on, and then I think it was Michael Jackson's "You Were Not Alone" video came on the TV, and I was sitting there watching that. And I even remember, I was like, I don't know if it's that's a man or a woman, but I don't care. I like the song. So that's like my earliest like thing that I remember.
Aw, that's sweet.
From seeing Michael Jackson. But then also now when we're talking about it, I remember I had like, I didn't go to daycare, like where you have a bunch of kids, like in school. Like as like that, we had like a daycare mom, so we went to her house and we're there with other kids. And one time we invited her. She is my mom's friend now, but we invited her when I was I may have been like 8 to our house for dinner, and then I performed a very dramatic version of "You're Not Alone," where we had like this stool where you could like turn around. So I was sitting with my back against the audience and then turning around. And then singing, not singing.
That's so dramatic, though. I love it.
Yeah, and I had these things which I kind of have forgotten until you asked this question.
I love it. I'm learning something too.
Yeah, so I've had these things in my life. Like always, I've liked performing. I liked doing theater when I was younger, a little bit. Like we had things in school, never like, never like professional or like doing it as a hobby, but like when we had something in school, I did enjoy those things, like standing in front of an audience. We did some dancing, we did sketches when I was like also like 8 or something for parents.
Wow.
Come watch. So I've had that, and then obviously Michael Jackson was my first influence. And then when I got a little older, my mom has always listened to Celine Dion basically since 87. She won Eurovision for Switzerland. So I think my mom started listening to her shortly after that or something. And then when I was like 11, I had this CD freestyle or whatever you call it. Do you guys remember those? Like when you can put a CD in and you can wear it in your pocket, I guess. But it was too big to fit in your pocket. But
so we just didn't call them that. They were called like Walkmans here. That was the company. They were just called portable CD players, but Walkman was the one that was like the big name brand.
Okay, yeah. I had a Panasonic one, I remember it. And that was, at that point when I was 11, I started listening to my mom's Celine Dion albums, basically. And she was like she became one of my like first singers that I kind of got obsessed with, because I always get obsessed with some stuff.
Gee, I don't see anything like that happening still. Amanda Marshall. Anyway. That's not a habit of yours at all.
No, that never happens.
It never happens.
I never wonder if there's something that I should check about like my obsession with things. Like, there might be something off with like having 150% interest in stuff and like going all in and then switching to another thing after a while.
If it's not harming you, then I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But that's incredible. I love that. So when you were that age, like a teenager, did you find yourself wanting to perform music in any way, or were you always kind of leaning toward other parts of the music industry?
I've never been. I've always been very. This is what I've said a lot in my channel, I think, as well, when I introduce myself, when I have had guests on there. And I have always been very interested in the music industry as like just as an interest, you know, like just wanting to know more about the people behind and what happens behind the scenes, kind of. So I always watched a lot of music documentaries. I don't remember at what age I started watching them, but I think I've always like been fascinated with those things. The movie industry and the music industry has always been like interesting to me for some reason. And I've never thought about performing in that sense, to be honest.
So
I played
just
soccer
theater
for a very long time.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, I was going to say, so really just theater was the one thing that you really wanted to stick with performing. But I feel like and correct me if I'm wrong, in the States, a lot of high schools, once you get to that age, you can't really manage doing more than a couple extracurriculars. So if you're going to do theater, you're like not going to do sports anymore. So was it like that situation kind of, you just chose?
We don't have the same at our schools, we don't have the same opportunity, I think, to go into different like hobbies that are like related to school. And also, this is something no one ever believes, but I was a very shy kid.
I believe
I was
that.
very shy.
I believe it.
And so it was very hard for me to do new things. And I started playing soccer when I was 7, so I stuck with that because I was going to be a professional soccer player.
I mean,
that was my goal.
That's not a bad goal. It's a pie in the sky. It's just like being a musician and getting famous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a pie in the sky.
But I was very passionate about soccer and the theater thing. I never did anything like performing in that sense. Like I didn't have. It was just like occasional. Like, okay, our class is gonna put up a play because it's a part of a course or whatever it may have been.
Gotcha.
Or a part of a class.
So there wasn't necessarily like a drama club. Like there wasn't. Gotcha. I'm so sad about that. Like, because you probably would have had done that. I feel like, you know.
Yeah. I might have had something like that, but I never looked into it. But nothing that was very like known, you know. As in, I feel like in the U.S. it's very like you're very you have a lot of those things like different clubs too.
Yeah, there's an overload of clubs. Like at my high school, we had a knitting club. Come on. Like there was a club for everybody. Anything that you wanted to do, there was probably a club for it. There was a Bible study club. Like
I would have gone to the knitting club.
I went to the knitting club. That's why I know it existed, is because I was in the knitting club.
Cool.
And I know that you're not even saying cool sarcastically. Like you're no, cool, actually. Like I 100% was in knitting club with like 10 other girls, and I think there were like 2 guys in it. And it was boring, but it was fun. I genuinely liked knitting, so I can't complain. But yeah, I think that most schools here in the US have kind of an overload, and then your kid ends up in like 5 things, and then the kid's overloaded because you did too many things. So I wish there was a happy medium. I'm sure there are schools here that have that happy medium, but yeah. now I'm going to have to knit people things. Damn it. What have I done?
Tell them. It's your new job, your new career.
It's my new career. And Asmak, thank you for the gifted sub, by the way. And hi, Fetch. How are you doing? And so actually knowing that even surprises me because I have already learned a lot. So I'm super glad that I'm asking some of this. So what ultimately was the path like to, because I said it once earlier without giving it any disclaimer, was that technically you are a music business developer. That is what your degree is in, which is honestly what kept me invested in like lurking in your channel and, you know what I'm saying? Like getting to know you and wanting to work with you, is that you have a totally different perspective than most musicians are ever going to get. And so what was that path like? How did you get from, I want to be a professional soccer player to I'm going to music business development classes?
Well, the soccer player thing ended kind of when I was 16 maybe, so that's a long time ago.
Fair.
I did enjoy soccer. I played for a long time until I was 26. So,
Oh, wow.
well, I did have a few breaks in between and a rehab session. But what led me to the music business developer is kind of funny because I am a health coach, as you said. And at one point when I had graduated as a health coach back in 2014, I don't remember if it was fall of 2014 or fall of 2015, but I was having trouble getting a job because unfortunately health coaches are needed, but no one understands what we do. And we are usually the people who you don't hire until you're like, oh, this organization is like, it's going well, we have a lot of money, let's hire someone. And it's usually the first person to go if you're like struggling financially in a business. So I was struggling getting a job. So I've had a lot of different jobs. I have a lot of different experiences, which have helped me to be much more fearless, I would say, in like pursuing new things. And I've learned a lot. So I'm not unhappy about that. But in 2014 or 2015, I think I was a lot like, I thought concerts, like, I love going to concerts. I've seen, like, I posted yesterday an old Celine Dion clip, which my sister sent to me.
She sounded so good. Oh,
yeah. So good.
Yeah.
And I've been to Ed Sheeran, I've been to Demi Lovato, which was a small one in Sweden. If someone's wondering, I could have gone up and touched her leg.
Oh my God.
Because that's how small the venue was.
Wow.
And I've seen Melissa Etheridge. I've seen a lot of different. I've seen Katy Perry. Unfortunately, I couldn't see Lady Gaga because she canceled that tour due to health issues. But the thing was, for me, I got this idea in my head that I wanted to be. It would be so cool to be a part of the team that's behind the scenes. So that was at some point when I was sitting in a concert, I was like, dude, I want to do that. I want to be someone, but who helps them with their health and can be like behind the scenes and see the concert from a different perspective, kind of, and be like a part of helping them, like the crew and the musician as well, like the performer, if you will.
Yeah.
The main focus point, except that there are so many other people around that you don't even know exist, kind of.
Right, absolutely. The teams. I think we've talked about this before. Gaga's documentary on Netflix really shines a light on how big some of these teams are that surround. I mean, this is one of the biggest musicians in the world currently, one of the most successful musicians in the world currently. Pink is the same way. The teams that are surrounding these people are ginormous, and we never get to see that unless they do a documentary, which I'm also, something you said a while ago, I love watching music documentaries and tour documentaries for the same reason. Although I'm not the one like, oh man, I want to help them. I'm like, I want to do that. I want to be in their shoes. But that's a really beautiful place that came from, that you're like watching these musicians on stage and realize like, I want to be a part of what makes that tick, kind of, in a way. And so I know you've been kind of building up to that point, and it's a big it's a big reason why I want to work with you as well as a health coach, because it's been honestly helping me too. And I've been journaling. I'm proud of my journaling. I think I've written 5 pages since I got the journal, which wasn't that long ago. It was like earlier this week, so I'm doing pretty well. But I already can see that I am processing my emotions differently in the last week alone. And there's a lot of heavy shit going on for me right now in terms of my health specifically. And so it's already helping me. And I don't know that I've said that to you yet, but it is already helping me. And I'm sure that you're going to be able to help so many other people, especially long term. Like we've only just begun, like literally just the tip of the iceberg, and it's already helping. So I didn't really mean to get into a thank you there, but thank you for seeing that and
good for you,
and recognizing that
I'm happy that it's helping you.
It is already. It is. I will say it's kind of weird to sit and journal with Trisha on the other side of the couch, because I'm like, you're just like journaling, keeping things to yourself, but like, don't look. You know what I mean? Which Trisha's like, I don't even like know why.
Pay attention. I'm like playing Pokemon Go. Like,
I know. I know. It's a me problem. I know Trish literally does not care, but it's just kind of a funny thing when you live with somebody.
Not looking at your own paper. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'll start a new language. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm just gonna take the time to say happy birthday to you, Trish, as well, since I'm here and can say it kind of in person because we never talk like
That's
this.
true.
So.
Thank you.
Fellow Sagittarius.
Yes. Your birthday is in what, a couple weeks? I don't remember the date.
The day I go back to work because
Oh.
I'm sick leave this week, and then I'm on vacation next week. So on Monday, the week that
Gotcha.
18th.
Yeah. Okay. I couldn't remember the date. I'm like, I know it's in the teens, but I don't know. So the 15th. Y'all heard it here first. It's Joswefi's birthday on the 15th. Oh, 18th. 18th.
Never mind.
December.
Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it.
Trust, I am the worst with dates. Listen, if it isn't written somewhere, I'm never going to remember it. I thought her birthday was like the wrong day for like 3 years. I had to ask her every single year, is it the 7th or the 8th? So.
Yeah, it's hard.
It
It's not
is.
that easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah, but to get back to your question, it started in 2014 or 15. I can't recall. And I remember I was like, what am I passionate about? I'm like, health. Because I was trying to figure out how to get a job. And I was like, maybe I need to start my own company. I had an idea about going around, like driving around and giving people massages. I did that to one of my best friends, like my best friend's brother at one point, and to some other people that came to my apartment here, like people I knew.
Yeah.
Obviously. But the first time I spoke about it was it during a dinner at my mom's. My mom is very supportive. She's a great person in so many ways, but she's also very Finnish in some aspects, and she's very rational when you say something that doesn't align with how she thinks. Well, now I think I probably broadened her mind pretty much a lot the past couple of years, but back then she was like, I was like, maybe I could like work with health in the music industry, and she was like, how are you supposed to do that?
Right.
Like she just felt like it's a very like big step to go to that doesn't almost exist.
Yeah.
From where I was at that point, like 24 years old, and like didn't even have a proper job as a health coach.
Yeah.
So it all came from like a protective place, I think, in her head, and in her her reactions are usually like that. Her first reactions are not good, and I've learned that through the years. But I was like, so I kept that to myself, and I was like, I'm not gonna talk about that anymore because it feels like weird, and it was for me such a big like leap.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that it's like we talked about, like being a professional soccer player or becoming Lady Gaga, like that.
Yeah.
Amount of famous.
Mm-hmm.
That was what it was to me in my mind when I actually said it the first time. And so I kind of kept it to myself, and then I kind of had it in my head for some reason. Back in like a couple years went by, I worked with different things, tried to get a job as a health coach, and it must have been like 2017 or something, when I was like, well, if I want to work in the music industry, because somehow I still had that in the back of my mind. I was like, if I want to work with that, I need to find like a course about the music industry or something, because they're not going to let me in if I don't get that industry. It's such a specific industry and such a different culture.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find a course to like learn more about the music industry, so I could say like, look, I know about your jobs, I know about the industry, I know how it works. And I ended up Googling and finding the program that I studied 2019 until 2021. And there was like, it doesn't cost any money. It's like it's what do you call it? Vocational studies?
Yeah.
Or what is it in English?
Yeah,
I
that's
have Google translated at some point.
Yeah, it's the same word. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And so 2 years of that, and I kind of just sent my like a form, like, yeah, I'm interested. And they're like, we're gonna get back to you if we. And then I forgot about it, and then I left for, it must have been 28. Oh well, it doesn't matter when it was, 2018 or something.
Couple
'Cause
years
then
ago.
I just, because I was having a crisis moment in 2018 when I couldn't get a job as a health. I was like, something needs to change. I've done this for like 4 years and I can't get a job. I need to do something like different. So I had applied for courses in a different city, which I was like, I'm going to go for 3 months and study in the south of Sweden because I need to break the pattern, which was the same. I couldn't get a job in Stockholm and I was just like working other jobs. And so I was like, I need to just break my pattern. I need a break, you know. So I was going to study health psychology, a course in that. I ended up living there for 3 years, studying to be a sports psychology consultant, which was a thing I had said to my therapist back in 2016. Kind of like, I don't know, because I had studied sports psychology, one course, and that teacher told us that you can study to be a sport and performance psychology consultant, but you need to have a bunch of points. And I was like, I'm never going to do that. And then I didn't have any goals. That was one of my issues why I even ended up at therapy. You need to have a purpose. And I didn't have a job, you know, the job thing. And we talked about it. She was, what do you want to do? I was like, maybe I want to study this. And I was like, blah, blah. Like, I didn't even want that at that point, but I ended up doing it at the end. And so what happened was I had sent in this form that I was interested in the music business in a developer program. What happened was the spring of 2019, must have been, yeah, when I was living in the south of Sweden, I got this email like, now we have the test for you. Like you had to do some tests to see if you can get in. Kind of. I don't remember what you call that in English right now.
An entry. I
Yeah,
wouldn't call it.
kind of exam.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess.
kind of an exam.
Yeah, there were 2 parts of that. And so I did that. I was like, I can do that. It's just for fun, kind of. I'm not going to get in. And then I had to answer everything. I was like, there are probably so many more people that know more about the music industry than I do. So I'm probably not going to get in. And I didn't have any hopes for it. And I was like, meh. Kind of just wanted to try it. And I ended up getting in at the same time when I got into this sport and performance psychology consultant course, which was 50%. Like it was a 50% speed, and then the other one was 100%, and it was distant, like long distance already from the beginning.
Oh,
The music business developer thing, so I could do it from anywhere, which was perfect for me. So
Yeah.
I studied both of them at the same time, and that's how I ended up being a music business developer.
and see, I didn't know any of that. You were like so confident. You're like, you know so much about me. I'm like, okay, yeah, I do. But also, I want to know about the journey, about how you got there. I'm all about the journey. That's like always what I'm asking people, honestly. So,
Yeah.
right. So 150% then.
And I remember I told my mom, she didn't know I had applied or anything or did it. And I was like, Mom, I got into this. And like I said, she's very supportive. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, there are like 40 slots or whatever you call it. And there were 300 applicants. And I got one of them. And she was like, well, I guess in that case, you should take it.
Right. Dude, that's incredible. 40
Yeah.
of 300. I mean, they saw something special in your assessment, obviously. Was there any like written part of it, or was it just like A, B, C, D, like just that stuff?
No, it was like one part was like looking up information on the internet. Like you got questions of who had a hit back in 20 whatever year. You had to
Oh.
Google it and try to find all of these answers.
Oh.
And the other part was more like questions about the industry, like kind of like you get into a studio with a bunch of people and you get invited to a new artist's recording or whatever it may be, and who may be the people in there who could have like made it happen that you were allowed to get in there, because the artist is too new kind of too, and you need to have kind of an answer for that. And then there was another one was like there is a new artist that's gonna go out on tour with a bigger artist, so they're gonna be like
The support.
the support. Yeah, exactly. And I just I just found a word in Swedish. So. and this person who is supposed to be the support just doesn't care about that. They just want to have their own big tour, but they can't have that because they don't have the fan base for it. How would you talk to that person? And I remember that I was like kind of writing about trying to like, you're gonna get help from being the support towards this big artist. You're gonna be like getting support. You're gonna get that fan base is gonna see you. There were a bunch of things that I wrote, and also like you might get a good relationship with this artist.
Yeah.
So you could do future collabs, and maybe they will talk like good things, like a ripple effect, kind of like with the song we have made now. Like,
Yeah.
if you're treating people well and you're doing a good job, then you might actually get something back from it. So those were kind of the questions.
And so I'm picturing like people who answered these things poorly, like how bad their answers could have been. Like the other 260 people that did not get in. Like I feel like I also know all the really obvious answers to those things, but I've been working in the music industry for over a decade, so that's different for me. I know firsthand why you would do something like that and not, bite the hand that feeds you when you're going on tour. But it's just, I can imagine just some of the dumb answers, like, or people who just didn't answer at all. You know what I mean? Like just willy nilly. But that's really interesting. So they saw something seriously special in you. 40 out of 300 people. Like, that's seriously, I don't have a trigger to clap, but that's clap worthy. So I'm clapping. That's huge.
Thank you.
And also welcome in, Raiders. I'm not ignoring you. We're chatting with fellow
Raiders.
streamer
I
Joswefi.
heard something.
Yeah.
I do hear a little bit.
Yeah. And Tesno Pesno rated. So thank you so much for bringing in your fam. We are chatting with Joswefi for probably another half hour or so, give or take, both of our energy levels today. And so
Gave us all your silverware.
yes, send us your spoons and we'll take forks, we'll take knives. We won't hurt anybody with them, but we need energy.
I'll take mine in a double envelope, please.
Yes.
A padded one.
A padded one. And so, yes, welcome in. I'm glad to see that your stream was lovely. Thank you for throwing spoons at the screen. Don't break your computer or your tablet or your phone. And
hi, Toto. I saw you said hi.
yes, hi, Toto. And also, I changed my raid. The GIF that's in my raid thingy alert on my screen, I changed it to the twerking poop. And I forgot that that's what I changed it to until it popped up right here. And that's why I was laughing. I laughed at a really inopportune time. You were saying something serious about how you answered this question.
I know how it is.
And
I
was
had
like,
so many guests on my channel, so I know how it is. But people start like, especially a couple of people in my chat are like to play like sound alerts, which my guests don't hear.
yeah.
And then I'm sitting there like trying to listen through the sound alerts and being like serious looking, and like I'm listening.
That's exactly
So I
what
know
just
the
happened
feeling.
to me. You were talking about how you answered the question, and I'm looking at a twerking poop next to my head right here, and I'm like, ugh, yeah. So that paid off.
Funny, though.
It is. And so where were we? So obviously you did the courses. There it is. We have some sound alerts. Who was it? Oh, Tesno Pesno. Thank you. How dare you raid and then send me biddies too. Thank you so much. We appreciate that very much here. Poop. Yes, the poopy got booty. So anytime there's a raid now, there's a twerking poop on the screen. So I had to use it for something. I bought that off of Etsy. I bought that emote. So I have to use it for something.
Well used money.
Yes, honestly, well spent. Whatever the amount of dollars was, probably $5 or something. Well worth twerking poop. Apparently.
Also, I wanted to just shout out. This is Trisha's heart.
Yes.
Not her literal heart. All right, heart.
We're both too delirious to be talking to each other.
I don't know. We're gonna have to redo this.
No, we'll redo it on another day and not specifically dig in on before it's over, because there's a million things we could talk about. We could have, like you were saying earlier when we were chatting, we could have a whole conversation just about the music industry. period.com or
for sure.
DSPs, that whole situation. And like, there's so much that we have in common.
Spotify, business model, all of that.
All of it. So that's like a whole other conversation. That's like not even Acco talk about it. That's like, let's fucking break down the music industry. So if y'all want to see that, let me know, because as soon as Joswefi is healthy and timing is better after holidays and stuff, maybe we'll get her back on and do that. Joswefi, collector of hearts.
If anything, yes. Yeah.
They're like,
yes. Distinction.
So, okay. So you said after 2021 was when you finished those courses. Is that what you were, or was that when you got into them? I'm sorry. I've forgotten.
I graduated as a music business developer in 2021. I was
21.
finished with sport and performance psychology in 2020.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, yeah.
So
Yes.
how long was it before you started feeling compelled to write your own music?
I actually, it's so funny. I hope Carmela is still here because she's one of the reasons why I started writing music.
Yay, though.
Because it's so funny because I slipped onto Twitch on a banana peel, you could say. I was following a couple of YouTubers who had a Twitch channel or something
okay.
on the Spanish side. And then they rated someone, Revna, who is also a music streamer and does some gaming and stuff. She has had a huge break. I think she's going to come back. So she's from Argentina, which is funny. So I ended up there and I learned Spanish a little bit there. So I hung up with that community. And then she rated Mary Lauren, who you might know who it is.
I was following her already before you and Bree have told me to follow her. And I was like, I do. Yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah, so I met Mary Lauren twice in real life, so that's very cool. I see us as friends at this point.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so I kind of ended up there, and then they had birthdays, like what was it, like in 2020 Revna had her birthday, so I wrote a really weird, because I was like, what can I do, because I was without a job. I was like unemployed for 5 months, if someone doesn't know, and in December 2020 I didn't have a job, so I hung out a lot on Twitch with the community that was hers. Very nice people, all of them. And I kind of figured out that I was going to write a song out of nowhere, and it was just going to be funny. It's a really, really weird song. Kind of. Very long, very chunky, that it doesn't have any structure to it, like compared to the songs that I write now. Like it didn't make any sense, but it was funny, and I got a couple of other community members to sing on it as well and make a weird video. It was weird.
Oh my gosh.
So that started it. And then then Mary Lauren had her birthday, so I wrote a song for her. And she had watched it before her birthday stream, but she asked me on her birthday stream if she could play it and show it to other people, which I was not prepared, because I was sitting here sweaty, trying to get through the entire song, remembering all the lyrics and playing the right chords, and so many fails, like it was so hard. I cannot even imagine today I'm sitting like doing amateur hour and I'm actually playing songs, a lot of songs.
Yeah.
Without, like, it's so weird, but it was hard. It was a lot of work. And she was like, please, can I show it? And there were like 100 viewers, and I was like, okay, fine, I'm just gonna leave stream. So I was kind of nervous about that. But with that said, I then ended up with hanging out also in Carmela's community a lot, and becoming friends with a lot of people there. Also such a nice community. I'm still in that channel a lot when I can. And I ended up writing a song for her too, and she also asked if she could show it on stream. And at that point, I got feedback, obviously, in Mary Lauren's channel, but also in Carmela's channel. A few people wrote, like, why aren't you not streaming music? And I was like, I'm not a musician, seriously. Like, the song that I wrote for Carmela is called In My Bones, and it is on my song list now.
Oh, I don't know if I've heard it actually.
And Carmela was like, this song has there's a hook in this. This is so good. And I was like, I don't know. And from there, I think there were a couple people in chat that were like, why are you not streaming music? And I was like, well, because I don't know how to do that and I'm not a musician. And then I think it took, I don't remember when I started streaming music, but last year, sometime after that, I guess. And I was like, I'll try it. And I'm like, what can I call it? I'm like, I'm not a musician, but I had people supporting me, and that's how it started. Like, people were just very supportive, and there still are. I mean, this project that we've done wouldn't have happened without the people who have been in my channel and being like, I was jokingly in this spring, like, would you listen to my song if I got it produced? And then and I was like, I'm just joking. And then a couple months later, I was like, maybe we could try it. Could be a fun project. So,
And then
great segue towards that.
I was going to say that was a perfect segue. Fantastic segue. You just made my job so easy. So what had happened was then Joswefi had come to me probably at some time during that conversation of, if I produce this, would you listen? And then, oh, okay, maybe I should. And then you had come to me and said, hey, it's something along the lines of, you're still doing vocal coaching. Or would you consider vocal coaching me if I was going to produce songs? And I was like, oh my God, yes, I will do that. Because I had already heard you sing a little bit and I knew that you could hold a tune. And I knew that you had written music, but I hadn't heard it at that point. And so when my schedule let up, which would have been probably, I don't know, 6 months ago or so, maybe, give or take 6 months ago, call it, I mentioned to her, I was like, hey, let me know if and when you would like to start. And basically the chats, the messages that I got back were like full panic. Because
yes.
because it wasn't full panic, but it was most definitely, you didn't expect, I don't think you necessarily expected me to hit you up first. I think you were going to take your time and just get to it when you got to it and whatever. And that's great. But you had all these, you sent me 3 or 4 demos before our first session. And one of them just hit me right upside the head. It smacked me the first time I listened to it. And Joswefi was on screen with me. And don't get me wrong, all of the ones we listened to that day were beautiful. But Before It's Over was the one that smacked me upside the head. And I was like, I even jokingly was like, I want to cover this song. And she's like,
I show that VOD to people in my channel.
Oh yeah.
When we re-listen to that, and I get to cringe every time because I have to listen to my freaking demo every time and my voice in that. That's great.
It wasn't the worst demo I've ever heard. And I know that sounds like an insult, but I promise you I have heard the worst demos. I have heard some really bad stuff. So it is not the worst demo I've ever heard. Yeah, that's awesome that you play that clip. I love that. And so,
yeah, Brie, that's the clip.
Yeah. And so I genuinely listened to it and I was like, oh my God. And I was like, LOL, I want to cover it. And she's like, okay, go ahead. And so I kept that in the back of my head for a little while. It's just like a nugget of, okay, well, I was joking, but like maybe I should. Because I always want to add more streamer music to my list. I never have the opportunity to learn it. But the difference is when I'm working with somebody and we're going to be working on something for months and weeks and months, I then inherently learn it. So I knew I'd be able to add this song to my list and share it with people on the internet. And so before, I kept that nugget in there, and literally Joswefi was like, do you want to know what it's about? And I'm like, of course I want to know what it's about. And then cue the waterworks, because I would like, if you don't mind, kind of sharing what this song is about for you.
I don't mind at all. I can tell. I'm going to start with the sad story, and then I can tell what inspired me to write it. And I think that would be the proper way to go. I think a couple of people know the story behind it. Erin has gotten the full detailed one, and I won't go into that because that kind of reminds me of
don't traumatize
it's a play
yourself.
inside my head,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how it all went down. But in 2019, I was in the south of Sweden. My dad was turning 60, and we were gonna go to he has like what do you call it, like a country. He has a house on the countryside, or
Like a cottage.
Cottage. But there are like 2 houses there, and we were gonna go there that weekend. And so I left for my sister lives a little bit closer to him. She doesn't live in the same city as I do now either. She lives in another city, but we are all a little bit spread out. So I went there, and we were gonna go on Friday. My dad's birthday was on that Thursday, so he turned 60, and on Friday we were supposed to go to them and celebrate his birthday for the weekend, kind of. And the night between Thursday and Friday, there was a fire, and my dad was very close with my aunt, so they shared that place, kind of, or they were there a lot, and so they slept in two different houses, because there were two houses. And so my aunt woke up in the middle of the night and woke her husband up because there was a fire going on downstairs. And so he went down to get the fire extinguisher and try to fix that. And my dad and his wife, I don't remember that part because this has only been told to me afterwards, but somehow I guess they woke up or something, and they also kind of went. My aunt never came down.
Yeah.
She passed away due to smoke, and they still don't know why she never went downstairs, if she was afraid of the fire, that it was not logical,
Right.
You get so scared, so you get into that freeze mode.
Yeah, you panic. You've never been in this position
Yeah.
before, and you don't know how your body's going to respond to any of that.
Yeah, and my dad went in 3 times to try to get her out. Fortunately, he was my married uncle got burns, so he got sent to the hospital, and really bad, and he was not thinking logically. My dad
Right.
was you need to you can't go in there. My dad went in 3 times. The 3rd time he was I'm not gonna get out if I try again, so he just gave up. And
Yeah.
so that's the story in short.
Yeah. Don't traumatize yourself further. Yes, that can.
Yeah, I'm
and
fine
even-
because I kind of have this it's kind of interesting to see people's reactions, because I forget. I remember I've told so many people, and people are sitting and looking at me and what, and I'm like a robot just talking about, because I can't
Yeah.
talk about it, because I turn off in some weird way. I can turn off my emotions,
Yeah.
and I've played this so many times in my head at this point. It's just when I start thinking about why, when you
Right.
start questioning things, that's when
Yeah.
it becomes hard. So that happened, and my one of my uncles on my mom's side also passed away that year, but during spring, from a stroke, a sudden thing. And so I just got basically a phone call from my mom. And then also my grandma passed away the same year. She was very old and had dementia, so that was not the same thing. But there were a lot of people
Yeah.
who passed that year, but my aunt obviously inspired this song mostly. And I was also it was so funny because I wrote this at the same time. I wrote another song called Ocean,
Mm-hmm.
and they're very, very different songs.
Yeah.
During Easter we had
Yeah.
a 4-day weekend, and I was sitting watching. I went for a walk, or I always go regular and walk, so I went for a lot of walks, so a lot of my lyrics come from when I'm on walks, actually. But the Before It's Over was inspired by me watching Louis Capaldi's documentary, and he was talking about his aunt. And I was like, wow, I also want to write a song. I got inspired, kind of, and I wrote the song in almost 10 minutes, except for there's a little part of that I didn't write at that point.
Mhm.
There was something missing still, but most of it I wrote in 10 minutes, within 10 minutes, while sitting on my couch watching the documentary, with him talking about his losing his aunt in a very traumatic way. So
Mhm.
that kind of inspired it. Yeah.
Yeah, I still haven't watched that documentary. I keep forgetting that you told me to watch that months ago, and I still have not. But yeah, trauma brings out, I think, a lot in us. If you have any inkling in your brain and your body to write music, something like that is just going to, I think, trigger it in a lot of ways. And that was exactly what your body and brain needed for therapy at that moment. And it makes sense that you can kind of talk about it a little bit removed now, because you also had to sit and record the vocals for this. Like,
I was crying when I wrote the song.
yeah, I have had 3 separate experiences. Shine and Fame are 2 of them. I feel like there's another one, but Shine and Fame for sure. Sat sobbing, couldn't get the demo out because I was sobbing while writing them. So it can be cathartic, but damn, it's hard to get through in that moment. But eventually it's exactly what you needed to do. And so imagine, y'all, we're sitting in our first vocal session. So I don't know if you showed that part of the clip where you're explaining the story. Probably not. But she tells me this story after I say, you know, I would love to cover this. And then she says, well, do you want to know what it's about? And I'm like, yeah, hit me. And she's like, well, it's kind of depressing. Are you ready? And so I'm just sitting here and I'm like shedding a tear. And I'm like, everything's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. And then, you know, we end our vocal coaching session that day. I go tell Trish what it's about, cry some more. And also I told Jen also kind of the version of the story that you just told, basically, because we were going to the studio maybe the day after this came out, and she really wanted to listen to it. She hadn't gotten to listen to it on good speakers yet, so we listened to it in the car, and she turned and looked at me and was like, this is the saddest song I think I've ever heard. And I'm like, and she didn't even know the story at that point. And I'm like, dude, you don't even know. When this is over, I will tell you the stories behind this tune. And yeah, I think it's hitting people in the feels, and there's still people that say that they get emotional when I sing it. I'm sure they get emotional when you sing it. Even for me, listening to it sometimes, I have to kind of, even though it wasn't even my story, but knowing how traumatic it was for you as an empath, it's hard not to associate with it and identify with it, because I've lost people traumatically too. So you just put your own meaning behind it. It's how anybody does, you know. Even though I was a part of the making of this song, I still put my own meaning behind it. And so it still means something. Yeah. And it still makes me want to cry some days. I'm not listening to this motherfucking song today.
That's what music's about. Like, it's supposed to be universal, I guess. So I'm happy kind of that people haven't known the story behind it until now. But also I like to share the story because, like, it inspired me. And also, like, my aunt basically may have saved 3 people's lives because she woke up. Because they had, like, gas, because they don't have electricity there. So they had, like, gas tubes in the houses. So there could have been an explosion.
Yeah.
If it wouldn't have been for her. So, I mean, you can look at it from different angles.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I try to see sometimes. Like, yeah, she kind of saved 3 people's lives.
Yeah, that's a huge silver lining. For me, I immediately go to the line about maybe you're an angel. Like, that's exactly it. So it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. And that kind of fits because she was religious. So for me, it was kind of obvious that I may not be, but kind of honoring her in that sense.
Absolutely.
And also, the funny thing is, I remember when you were asking, you guys, Carmela, and you were asking me, like, okay, so when are we going to release this? Like, do you have a date in mind? And I was like, maybe November, because it's gloomy and all that. And then I started thinking, I was like, the 29th of November, my grandma passed away. My mom on my mom's side, who was like my second mother.
Yeah.
And it's been years, so that's fine. By both of your faces, you were like, no.
Yeah,
So
we were
sad.
both
I
like,
remember that so
oh
well.
God, because we're excited because most people have exactly 0 date. Like, when you're starting to work with a new artist, you don't necessarily know, not that you're new to us, but you know what I mean, in a working capacity, you don't necessarily know if they have realistic expectations or not. Because sometimes people will be like, well, I want to release this in 2 weeks. And you're like, okay, you're off your rocker. You need to come back to reality. And so it's either somebody has a date and it's not realistic, or they don't have a date at all because they just don't have a date. And so we were both excited, probably. I'm speaking for Carmela, but we were both excited, like, oh, there's a realistic date and it's in like 3 months. Okay, let's get to work. And then you kept going about why. And we're like, cool. Great.
Yes, let's bring it down even more, as if the song is not sad and on its own. Like, let's make like the biggest backstory, like just right on the sadness way.
Yeah. And Carmela and I don't really do that. we're not necessarily, like, Carmela will get in her feels a little bit more than I do. I am, you know me, and I think the chat knows me well enough to know I will facade it all day long. I will put on the smile and do
Your
my
face
best.
fell though. I have the VOD.
Oh, you could see that I was listening intently to you.
I remembered it. I rewatched it just because it was so funny, because both of you on cue were like, kind of.
No, I want to watch
I
it
need
too.
to show it to you at some point.
Yes.
It's so funny. It's without sound because hadn't checked it on my other computer. So, but you can still see that your faces. I can like guess where I am at when I see your little face. I'm like, okay, here.
That's because we're like, cool, yeah. In this good meeting, yeah, great. You have a date, and then oh,
it was funny. Yeah, but I've learned a lot these past couple of months, though.
Yeah, and also like this first production for you, I will say you were very lucky, because you put a really good team in place, first of all, and then that team fired off without a hitch. None of us had to redo. Well, I had to redo stuff, but it didn't concern Carmela or Sweeto or you. But it was my own fault. I did my MIDI stuff wrong and I had to redo it. But I learned something that day and I've fixed it since. But everything fired off at full cylinders and nothing. We didn't hit any walls. We didn't have any issues. And if there were any issues, like the one I was just describing, we didn't make it anybody else's problems. And so being this is your first experience with a full production and putting it out into the universe and all your stuff shared properly and your name is spelled right and everything looks perfect. Like you've had a particularly really easy go round for the first time. And all you can do is you did your homework. You didn't mess anything up. And trust me, I have messed stuff up and it wasn't even the first time I did it. So like,
you a couple of times during these couple of months. Just a little bit.
It was a lot.
Just to be very honest and like.
Yeah.
It's not as if I did everything like by myself and didn't ask any questions.
Yes. No, you're right.
I had a lot of help.
Yes.
Which I didn't pay for.
Yeah. It's a lot. And that's the thing is that, and that's why I say you're very lucky in this way, is that the smartest things you did were place a strong team and then ask for help. And that kind of created your luck, if that makes sense. Nothing went wrong because you had the correct infrastructure. And when I tell you most people don't do that, I help people release music all the time for the first time. And I felt bad because I couldn't help you as much as I can help other people because Sweden has different rules and different numbers. Like the numbers that we use to identify ourselves in songwriting and publishing are called IPI numbers here. That doesn't exist in Sweden, apparently. And like these are things that we didn't know. I can tell you all day long, hey, you need these numbers. And then she's like, no, I don't. I'm like, cool. Everything I know is wrong. So,
but I've fortunately learned about that in my music business. That I have it in theory. Doing it practically is not as easy.
Yeah.
But I think that helped me a lot. And then I asked a couple of my friends that I studied with, honestly.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just a few questions like, okay, well, what do I need for this?
Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah. And like all your American friends were only useful to a certain extent in that way. Like I can remind you, hey, make sure you log into your Apple Music dashboard or your Spotify Music dashboard. That stuff's going to be the same. And things like that. But the back end stuff was totally different. And so I felt bad. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I felt so bad because I do help so many people like at the studio. Anybody that basically Kevin at the studio, if somebody is releasing music for the first time, he's like, you need to book a session with Erin. You need to call Erin and you need to pay her for an hour of her time and you need to have a session with her because I am the person who knows how to release music officially and correctly. Because it is so complicated and nobody even knows how complicated. You even went to school for it and I think it proved to be more complicated than you realized even.
A couple of things, yes, but it's also because I graduated like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
So you forget because there's so much information to take in.
Yeah. And just all the legalities and everything. And then I accidentally, y'all, I scared, well, I would say scared isn't the right word, but for lack of a better word, I scared Joswefi because she's like, hey, you're the last person to like not accept this thing in the back end and like it's gonna be released like next week. And I'm like, oh no, I don't know how to do this. And it was with the distributor. Splits. Yeah, the splits and distributor. The splits in Amuse, which is the distributor. Wow, what a sentence. And I had to search my spam high and low. I found it, but I'm like, oh no, I don't know how to fix this if I didn't get the email or something. So we all learned something, honestly. I don't know. Maybe Carmela learned that too. Maybe she's released music that with Swedish artists before. I don't know. But we all learned
she
something.
said this is her first ever produced song. Like that where she has been a producer.
Yeah. And this is one of Phil's favorite things he's ever worked on.
That's cool.
Yeah. And he is very, very proud of it. And everybody at the studio, when it came out on a Wednesday, we had a rehearsal the next day. Everybody at the studio came up to him separately at different times. I think I heard every single one of them say like, listen, hey, do that song. Like it sounds so good. And every time he's like, I didn't do much.
It did, though.
Sir.
What did we have? We had like 5 mixes of that song, I think.
Something. It wasn't a ton. 5 mixes for a song at that capacity with that much going on is actually not that many mixes.
But still, considering how we worked on it, we did it digitally and like just with me writing down, this is wrong, this I want removed, this I want to add it, I want this enhanced, blah, 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 whatever it was.
I speak Joswefi, so I translated it all. That's literally what happened. I speak Joswefi, and she would put a note in and list a couple things out, and I'm like, I don't know what this means, but I think this is what it means. Please confirm. And then she'd be like, yes, that is what I mean. So then I took the notes that I rewrote and sent them to Phil, and he made changes. Pardon me for sticking Kleenex up my nose. Just
it would have been either you or me. Oh,
one of the two.
One of the two.
Yeah.
I'm happy I don't have to do that today. It's more my throat. That's like not. I don't have a pain, but I can feel like I'm congested.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's getting better though, y'all. Joswefi sent me a voice memo on the day I think that your voice was probably the worst.
Maybe on my release day, I think.
Was it the release day? I don't remember what day it was now.
Last week, like a week ago exactly. So.
Oh yeah, I can't believe it's only been a week that it's been out. It feels like a million years. I don't know why. Probably because the production was so on time. Y'all, I've never had a production run ahead of schedule before. Ahead of schedule. We had the master days before you needed it to upload it. Upload it. I've never, ever had a project run so on time before. And Phil was freaking out. He's like, well, I won't have time to work on it till blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, the deadline for the master is like November 1st. And it was like 2 weeks before November. So I think for me, it feels like it was released a lot longer ago because it's been done for a minute. So
I feel so too, I think.
I forget that it's only been a week. Like that feels impossible that it was only a week ago. Like,
my mom told me today on phone, she was like, I'm still trying to like give everyone, I said, I have, some of my relatives are kind of old. So they don't have Spotify and stuff, or like it doesn't have to do with the age, but you know, like that kind of generation who don't have Spotify and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, send them the master. I don't think they're gonna spread it in that sense. They're just gonna listen to it.
And that's exactly it. My parents don't have Spotify either. My dad has iTunes, and my mom plays music like on the Bose. Like they have a CD player and a terrestrial radio. They have like this Bose speaker in their kitchen, and like they're usually watching TV more than they're listening to music. So it's like, oh, Dad, you have Spotify? How dare? Well, then I hope that you've listened to the song. There's no excuse. Also, it's on YouTube though too, yeah? I'm guessing it got distributed.
YouTube Music, all Deezer, YouTube Music,
All of 'em.
Apple Music,
Okay.
Spotify, whatever else there was in that long list of things. TikTok, I think, has it. Like, you can probably put it in there.
I've been using it on Instagram in my stories. Which those do count as plays to
Oh,
a certain
I didn't know
extent.
that.
I don't know what like the requirement is of it, like how if it has to be played for a certain amount of time or anything like that, or the story has to be viewed for a certain amount of time. But it does. I learned that those analytics actually do count toward your overall plays, TikTok and Instagram.
cool.
Yeah. I only recently learned that, but I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And that's why songs will go platinum and stuff, because they're being used on TikTok. And
Yeah.
that's being counted as a play. So,
Okay, so I have a thing. Like, we should share something. Like, if you had something specific that you remember from recording this song, I have one thing that I do want to talk about.
yes.
For me, when I was recording the vocals, first of all, we had. I'm gonna say, like, we switched. I was supposed to do the
Right.
first part of the song from the beginning, because we had I had an idea from the start that we were gonna do like a surprise. Erin is on this a lot, kind of. So I was gonna go first, and then Erin is gonna come in. So it's gonna be like a surprise to the listener. But unfortunately, it was very hard for me to get in like on the beat. In the first verse, because you don't have the drums and stuff like that. So I tried so hard, but
You did.
nah. And it was too short of a time for me. I can do it. It's not that I didn't give up, but it was like too short of a time to try to perfect that. So
Yeah.
we decided together actually to switch.
Yeah. I was very leery of asking you, and I totally forgot about that actually. Because I was listening to, so basically our process for getting the best take, if anybody is wondering, how we digitally recorded vocals. We did not do this in real time because we are 6 hours apart time zone wise. So in order for us to make this work, like, it's one thing to do vocal coaching for an hour or health coaching for an hour or two or something like that, but to actually sit there and record vocals at a perfect time of day for the other person and the blah blah blah, like, we did not do that live with each other. So Joswefi would record take after take after take after take and send them all to me. And I would critique them and say, like, which ones are the best? What did you do better here? And I was starting to notice this trend that the second verse sounded better consistently always. And I was like, I so didn't want to hurt her feelings. I don't want to hurt your feelings. Like, I'm normally not like that, but this song is so personal that I didn't, you know what I mean? Like, I felt so bad, and I know how badly you wanted that surprise. Like, whoa, there's Erin on the second verse. But the next one of the following vocal coaching sessions, I was like, I have to be honest with you. You're killing the verse 2, but verse 1 is just not as strong. Like, I'm grateful that you're killing verse 2. Verse 2 is great. Like, we should use this take. Like, this is totally a great take. But verse 1 is just not, it's not as clean. It's just not as good. And then Joswefi's like, yeah, I know.
And I think I said to you, I was like, I think we should switch.
Yeah. So I was very grateful that I didn't have to be, we were both thinking it and neither of us wanted to say it, basically. We were both super hesitant because I loved the idea, you know?
At that point, I was like, we need to switch if we want to have the best quality for this song. I was like, we need to switch now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I couldn't do my vocals until Joswefi was done with hers because I was going to be doing harmonies on
What
some of
is it,
Joswefi's
Joswefi?
vocals.
I don't know what I said.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't
We
know
need to
now.
explain that.
Yeah.
Continue. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. And so, yeah, we both just didn't want to say it, but we were both thinking it. And it just needed to happen. And in the end, it was a right call because we would have taken a lot longer to perfect that. And then it would have set back everything. We still would have probably had an on-time production considering it was early. But I think I think you were kind of frustrated too. I don't know how many takes you eventually did. I think you said 16 or something like that.
A lot.
Yeah, it was a lot. And even like that's not even that many takes of a whole song. Not really. Like, and not a song that's really difficult anyway. Like, for instance, Your Highness is extremely easy vocally for me. I did that in a handful of takes. It just was not that hard for me to record. But before it's over, I don't know how many times I did that verse. I'm the first thing that everybody heard. I was stressed. I'm like, oh my God, this has to be perfect. And then the day that I chose that I put aside, my vocal cords were scratchy as hell. And we got like I'm not mad about it. We got some rasp in some of my stuff that day. Yeah, I'm not mad about it. It was just Melissa Etheridge. That's fine. And Phil loved it. When he first listened to my vocal tracks, he was like, whoa. And I'm like, I know. And he's like, no, it sounds so good. I'm like, well, it's not good for my voice, but I'll say it sounds good, you know. Safe to say, making music is hard, especially across a whole ocean. It's slightly easier when the person's in the same local area as you, but honestly, it's not too much easier. Like, yeah, sometimes it's easier, but yeah, it just kind of depends. But yeah, Joswefi is a trooper, y'all. Tons and tons of takes of this whole song. She would record the whole song, the whole take, not just little pieces. The whole song she would send to me, take after take after take. And I would have emails just, okay, here's another 3 takes. Okay, 2 days later, okay, here's another 3 takes. And I'm like, well? And then we finally... Oh, go ahead, yeah.
I just realized something. People might not know this, but I have a full-time job outside of Twitch and all of this, what we're talking about. So I did that usually after work.
Yes. Or on the weekends, maybe.
Wanted to I don't have 8 hours of time to sit and record. If someone is wondering whoa, how did she do so many takes? I was like, I sat in the evenings.
Yeah.
Just I just realized I'd never introduced myself in that sense that I actually work as a health coach for seniors.
Yeah.
If there's someone who doesn't know it in here.
Yeah.
At this point.
I mean, there's a lot. If anybody's following Joswefi on Instagram, you do post sometimes pictures from your aerobics classes. Well, aerobics might be the wrong word, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Kind of aerobics. It's aerobics, I would say.
Yeah, and the walks you go on and the events that you guys put on for the seniors. So there's definitely some of that in her Instagram story. Yeah, JD is a chef for seniors. I did.
Cool, JD. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Hi, sugar.
But I digress from that and go back to talking about a fun moment when I was recording.
Yeah.
I don't know how I even managed to do that, but the line of actually should say also Erin changed a word in the song.
One word.
Because I wrote play in my head, it's like a play in my head. She changed it to inside, and when she started singing that, I actually decided to keep it because that was better. But
it was an accident. It was an accident too.
But it was a nice accident. It was a happy accident.
Yeah.
But the thing was with that freaking line when I was recording, at one point, for some reason, instead of singing, it's like a play inside my head, I started singing it's like a game inside my head. And then when I realized that I was singing game after a couple of tries, I was like, why am I doing this? Then I'm like, gay. And then I try to save it to go back to play. Except when you do that, when you start with gay, it ends up with it's like a gay inside my head. So that happened a couple of times. I think I sent one of those to you just because it was funny.
You did. You're like, okay, don't listen to that one thing. How's the rest of it? Yeah, I forgot all about that. Yeah.
So that was not a very good save, just saying.
No.
I should have just gone with game.
Just
all the way.
Just game. It's like a gay inside my head. It's fine. There's totally a gay logical. Living there. It's fine. There's not paying rent. Just a gay up there.
Living rent free in my head, that freaking wine though.
Yeah. And then basically I put let's all be gay inside our head, even if we're not exactly. Just put the gay there. It's fine. And so basically I chose, I think, 2 or 3 of my favorite takes of yours. And what I did, and this is what we called comping, and this could be with any instrument in the music industry. You could comp guitar parts, you could comp drum takes, you can comp vocals, and that just means you're pulling from many different takes and putting them all together and composing one vocal take. And so I composed one whole vocal take from, I think, 3 different takes. I'm not entirely sure. And then we use them as doubles too. That way it sounds nice and big in the chorus. And there's a million vocal tracks in that song.
Nah.
There's a million vocal tracks in that song and not really many harmonies. Phil didn't even use all the harmonies that I gave him because he was like, this one's weird. Can I cut it? And I'm like, oh, fine. But I did my
But
best.
those runs, though.
I'm very happy with my
And
runs. Yeah, I'm very happy with my runs. Thank you. I am.
I'm very happy with that decision that I made.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna take the credit for that.
Yeah, because we would have totally left it how it was. Me and Phil were happy
Yeah.
with where they were.
I was not.
Yeah, one of Joswefi's last notes on one of the last mixes was, I need more of Erin's ad-libs at the end. Just
Yeah, for
a
sure.
little bit more.
And Carmela's the guitar. That part was so important to me.
Yeah, the solo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so incredibly happy with how it turned out. And then we got our the guy that masters basically everything that goes through the sound shop. All of Elsie Binks's stuff is mastered by Tom Vopacelli. I can't say it any other way. Tom Vopacelli at the mastering house. He does all of our mastering work unless he's sick or something. You know what I mean? We don't send our work to anybody else. And Joswefi agreed, like, let's just do it. Let's send it to him. And he killed it. And yeah, it was a really, really good and smooth experience. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that like happened that may have been funny, but other than me, I knew that some of my piano lines weren't in time, and I didn't know I could record MIDI on my keyboard. And so Phil asked me if I could re-record those triplets. That they're kind of buried. If you listen to the song, and we'll listen to the song actually, like after we hang up the phone. But we'll listen again in case anybody hasn't heard it. But there's these fighting triplets. Anna's strings are going do 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 in the second verse, and I'm going da 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 da. Like they're literally fighting each other, and I loved how it sounded, but I did not execute it very well. So I told Phil, like, I might have to come in and like recut these on a MIDI keyboard because I didn't think I had a MIDI keyboard, which just means the input can be changed. It's not like playing a piano and you have to do the whole thing over again. But MIDI, you can literally edit on your computer, change this note to a different note. It's very, very, very customizable. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to come in and do it because my keyboard doesn't have MIDI. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe it does. And he's like, try this. And he showed me another way to do MIDI. And lo and behold, it worked. And I was able to record all the MIDI at home. And I actually re-recorded all the piano tracks. Joswefi, I don't even know if you know that. I re-recorded all the piano tracks.
Told me I can't right now. Right now my brain is mush, so I can't remember. But I have a feeling that you may have told me that. Actually,
I didn't want you to feel bad because it was totally my fault. It was ignorance in a way. I really thought one thing, and it just happened to not be true. I was very grateful that now I've learned that I can use this keyboard as a MIDI controller.
Really cool.
Yeah. And so I re-recorded everything in MIDI and it sounds 100% better as a result. It sounded a little different than the first takes that I sent him. He used a slightly different piano sound than what I used initially. So it did sound a little bit different, but I still love it either way. But yeah, what was that word? I think the only other thing I can think of, the word that I had to, abrupt. Yes. That was the only, for anybody who doesn't know, like, I think personally, like, Joswefi, you speak very good English. I think you speak very good English. I think when I first said I was going to come to your channel or lurk or whatever, you're like, hopefully you can understand or something like, and I'm like, what? Like, I can understand. You probably speak better English than I do. And so, yeah. Oh, Jif, do you know about the word too? And yeah. And Trish also. Just Joswefi speaks better English than I do. Yeah. Same wavelength. It was the word abrupt. I'm like, oh no, this is a good take, but the word abrupt, it's weird. I'm so sorry. I'm like, pretend it's an U instead of an A. I don't know how many takes that was.
Couple.
Just that
couple
one.
of them.
Yeah, just that one word. And I'm like, oh, we're so close. We're so close. Yeah, the English language is an asshole.
And also this entire experience has been very cool, and it became so much more than I ever had imagined. This was not how I imagined it to be, which is cool, but if you give it to talented people and great like humans, apparently this happens. And also for me it was very important to not just have like a great team of people like talented, but also to be able to pay the amount that you guys deserve, because I think that's an important question that I want to lift, which is something that I have ingrained in my brain, kind of, that paying musicians is so important. The value, like this is kind of why we're talking about the song also. Like, you can hear how much work it's been. For me, I did a minimum part. Yes, I asked for a lot of help. Like, I asked people to come on to this, and everyone said yes for some weird reason that I don't know why. So that's why I was like kind of panicked when everyone was like, yeah, I can do vocal coaching now, like in July when I was at senior camp with the seniors somewhere else in Sweden than at home. And for me, it's so important that people get paid for what they do. And I think that's an important question to also, I want to talk about that since I have the kind of right now the platform to talk about it. Yeah. It's so important. And people, I've heard Joey Collins, who is also a fellow music streamer and a musician in the UK. When I talked to him last year, he said that he got paid in beer sometimes. It's crazy. Like, how are you supposed to live on beer? You have rent to pay, you have food to buy, you have maybe medical bills to pay, and you have a car, or you have you need to live like everyone else. Like, I'm not gonna rant. I'm gonna get off my soapbox like soon, but like I just need to talk about this in here. It's so important that they get paid for what they do. And I was thinking about that while I was having dinner today. I was like, what would the world be like without the creative people, without the artists, without the musicians, without like the sound engineers, whoever you are in the creative department? Think about it, all the movies, all our commercials, everything. Like, it's not even just like there are songs in movies. They're like I've been watching a lot of cartoons. I'm Disney-fied, I would say at this point. Yeah. And I started thinking about that, like listening to it. There's so many different, like a little bit of music going on in the background when something exciting is happening or whatever it may be. Or like, imagine life without music. There are so many things that we don't realize where there is music in the background, but we don't think about it in the same way as if we would listen to a song. Yeah. And there's a lot of work like behind that, all of that. And people, I don't understand why, but people are like, no, I don't want to pay for music, or I don't want to pay. Like, I still don't get. Like, I have been like that when I was in my teens. So like, yeah, I want my free music and all of that. But but after being educated and after like watching a lot of music documentaries and even more like becoming more like aware, I'm like, this is what they do for a living. It's not like I can do this for fun because I have a job. But that also gives me the possibility to pay people to help me with my project outside, which is like also a big important thing for me. Yeah, the project is fun, but I can also like take on people that I can pay so they can pay whatever they need in their life, which is has great value to me to be able to help in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, you were quite literally out here paying my bills, and Carmela and Sweeto and Phil and Tom Vopacelli, you know, like that's quite literally our bread and butter. So especially when I first realized that was your mentality, I was like, holy shit. Thank you. Like you had prepaid me for something, and I was like, what are you paying me for? You don't owe me. What are you doing? Why are you sending me this? Like, I was like, what's wrong? Like, did you math wrong? Like, I was like, why are you sending me this? And she was like, do musicians not ever get advances? And I'm like, no. I nearly cackled, and I was like, holy shit, thank you. Like, that's not normally how any of this works. And so the fact
I got
that
some bonus money, so I thought I could like
yeah, right. Imagine actually getting paid. Yeah. And of course with studio stuff like this, you know you're going to get paid, but it's never upfront. It's always when you deliver, or if there's a date. This happens pretty regularly too. Especially if you're in person like me, when I go into my in-person sessions, if somebody doesn't bring money or ask what your Cash App is or your Venmo, they'll be like, hey, I'm going to pay you on this date if that's okay. So like just even the proactive gesture that you just sent money that we hadn't done anything for yet. Well, not anything, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't all of the completed work yet. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. It isn't a thing. So thank you. Thank you for being that way. Whoever it is you work with, whatever teams you put together for whatever things you're doing next, you know, whether I am or am not a part of it, thank you for treating us that way, because it's refreshing. It's so refreshing. I mean, sushi is not a bad thing either. I'm not going to lie.
and also to kind of connect it, since I am a health coach, even though right now we're talking a lot about music in a weird way that shouldn't be happening. No, just kidding. It's connected to health, having to stress over money. I've done that in my life because my first full-time job is the job I have now, and I'm actually going to change jobs next year because my work environment is crap, but that's another story. But it's health related in the sense that it's very stressful. It's very, very stressful, which can lead to a bunch of other things. Like you're gonna, I wasn't doing that because of you, Erin, because I was gonna say something about, because you're the greatest example I have right now.
I know.
But like having to work your ass off all of the time and not being able to rest.
Yeah.
Just because you can't like relax and like, oh, I can save up some money and go on a vacation. You're like always living almost in survival mode, and like just going, it's not even, we can have bad days at work, but we can also be like, I'm having a good day at work and I'm making money off of it. But when you're in survival mode, you're basically just doing it so you can get money. So you might not even be enjoying what you're doing. If you guys catch what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
You're constantly just chasing the money. You can never like live in the present and be like, oh, okay, so now I'm like here, I can chill a little bit, and then next week, like me, I've been sick I did have a vacation week last week that kind of got canceled because I'm sick, but I get money from my job because I'm sick. You don't get that if you're self-employed, especially, I don't know, I think it's even worse in the US with all of this. We have insurances and stuff like that as self-employed, blah, blah, blah,
yeah
here. But what I'm saying is like it's detrimental to your health as well, having that stress factor on you and not being able, there's a saying about like living in the past and living in the future and trying to live in the present, and that is kind of true. So it's also very much connected to health. And I know this because I did a questionnaire about this back in 2018 when I had my entrepreneurship coaching, when I had a coach who coached me in my business idea. And she told me to do a questionnaire. And a lot of the people who answered the questionnaire, because I asked for the reasons, like what do you see as problems in the music industry, like health-wise. And a lot of people actually answered the thing about the financial insecurity. So that's why I'm talking about this as well.
Yeah.
So.
And it's so relevant. And I am so grateful that, I will say, if I didn't like streaming, I would have already stopped. And there's no real reason for me to, lack of a better word, lie. It's not really the word I'm feeling, but again, my motor functions are not helping me thesaurus wise. So like, there's no reason for me to lie about loving streaming. Streaming, yes, it is my main source of income. And really, I should have a terrible relationship with it at this point because I can't rest. Because if I'm not working, I'm not making money. Because there's no way, as far as I know, there's no way in the US for self-employed people to just get like whatever you were describing, like insurance in terms of like sick time. You can apply for short-term disability, but it takes months to get that. So in the meantime, you're dying or you need a surgery and you can't figure it out. And so our system's kind of a wreck in that way. But I am very, very grateful that my relationship to streaming has stayed relatively healthy. The last couple weeks have been particularly trying, but at the end of the day, it's when I come on and I'm like, listen, y'all, typically, if I am in a terrible mood or I didn't want to stream, usually by the end of stream, y'all have made me feel better. That's the honest truth. Like, y'all really do feed me spoons. Like, and I was literally crying into my ham and eggs, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get through today, but I'm going to do it. And I know talking to you literally helps me sometimes with my spoons, no matter what we're talking about. You just have that effect for some reason, which is a great thing. You know what I mean? Like, you regularly give me spoons when we're talking. And so that's helpful. And I'm just super grateful that streaming has become the thing for me, you know? But with all the other things too, I have the vocal coaching on the side, and I'm doing rehearsals specifically right now. You know, we have Alex's Christmas show, and so we have extra rehearsals that we do get paid for, which is very great. We have the show coming up on Sunday, which is great. And so it's just a whole lot of things. It's a whole lot of things, but I will say I am super grateful that my relationship to streaming has remained pretty healthy. There's not many times that I'm like, I do not want to stream because of what it is, if that makes sense. If I don't want to stream, it's because of my health. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not because I don't want to do the thing. Like, I know a lot of people do have that relationship with streaming after a while. Once they've made it their whole thing, they're like, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, I can name at least 4 streamers that told me that in the past. Like, if it's my main job, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, oh God, what if that happens to me? But it hasn't happened to me. But I am grateful for the support that I receive, because I probably will take a day off next week at this point. I need it. You know, I need it. Like, of all people, I confide in like you and Jen and Trish. And all of y'all know I need to take a day at some point that isn't a normal just one-off day. Like, it needs to happen for my health, for my mental sanity. Just take a day. But speaking of that, we've been on now for like an hour, and I'm speaking from when I actually switched the scene over. We've been on for about an hour and a half or so here. So I want to wrap it up. What are some last thoughts, some things that you want to promote coming up?
What's going on Saturday?
Yes, I was going to actually bring that up. You have a songwritery thing on Saturday. That's very exciting. But if there's anything else as well that you would like to promo before we go for the day.
Promote. I'm not it's so funny. I study music business. I'm like, I don't like promoting things except for when it's my music streamer friends, kind of, or like my, I love promoting other people, not myself that much, even though I kind of sometimes try. What did you say, Trish?
It's a Sagittarius thing. I learned that in the last week. We love promoting and like lifting up other people, but we don't like the spotlight being on us. It is specifically a December Sagittarius thing, I learned.
Interesting.
The more you know.
I've blamed that on so many things as much as I have the time change. I'm like, this is great information now.
Right.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Jeff. I do have a website. I don't have the link right now. I don't know where to send it. I'll send it in chat later.
Yes.
If I can.
You should be able to as a VIP. You should be able to send a link.
Yeah, and you know that. Actually, you know that I have a merch site, but I have added some exclusive bio merch.
Yes.
in there. So if someone wants anything like that, you can check it out. I'll send the link later. I also have some Wiggle Queen stuff, and I'm in the process of getting some new emotes at any point.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know when.
At some point.
But I'll probably add some merch with that on as well. And also, like, the merch site, like, the purpose of that is kind of just because it's fun, because I'm like that. I don't need the money, but if I make any money off of it, I've said, like, 50% is going to go back to, like, musicians or music streamers or something like that. So I'm going to save it up and, like, put it in the tip jar and here on EBX Erin or in Carmela's or Willow Keys or whoever I know on Twitch.
Yeah. And thank
Jane
you for
Huntsman.
that. Oh, we love Jane. Well, all of the people you just listed. I love them all.
Yeah. Or
But
Joliet
seriously.
4. Like, I can name drop a few.
So many
lot of
people.
I
Yeah.
think.
We still have more giveaways to do after we hang up too. We have
Yeah.
full mall bio giveaways. It's so funny. I don't refer to it as bio ever because it's a weird word.
I know, it's so funny, but I do, because it's
know.
Jif's fault. So if anyone is wondering where that came from, it was Jif who wrote to me at one point. We were talking, since we need to actually a shout out to Jif. He's made the artwork for this.
Oh my God.
And,
Good God. Neither of us thought to say that.
and like, so thank you so much, Jif. Jif has done this for free. I'm going to say that as well, because I'm very proud
see it from
about
here.
like paying. And I tried to pay him, but he told me to give away the money. So I did to
So
a
I-
music streamer. So I did, kind of.
I'll have to show it when I can get it to
His part.
focus.
So that's very gracious of you, Jif. And so shout out to Jif for making it. I'm gonna say a thing that might not. We'll see. There might be a song coming out like next year if everything gets locked in. I've gotten a few yeses. I'm waiting for a couple yes where I haven't like re-asked. So there might be some people who you're gonna see back on that song as well if we're gonna do it. And also I'm gonna do a show. I don't even know what it's called because I've been sick for like 2 weeks, but anymore. I kind of said yes to a showcase thing on Saturday, the first
Kind of.
EU one. Sixios, who I was going to collab with last week that I had to cancel, is going to host it. And he asked me. So he's seen what I do in my channel. So I guess he like thought I'm good enough. So I'm going to be playing 3 of my original songs, like old ones. And then I've written a new one for that day, which the theme was A Light in the Dark, if I remember correctly. So you guys are going to hear that. I'll see how much I can actually sing on Saturday.
Yeah.
It might be a little more like rapping because I'm going to like just sing.
What time is that on Saturday?
I actually need to check because I don't remember. We have it, for us, it's 4 p.m.
So that
There.
is 10 a.m.
Central
here. Yes, 10 a.m. here.
Is it? No.
Right?
Yeah,
6
yeah,
hours.
16. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 hours. Yes.
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
like, what time is
14.
it? Yeah, so
My brain, man.
yeah, my brain is not well today either. I feel that. So 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Not Eastern, EU.
Central European time.
CET.
4 p.m. Yeah.
Yes.
I've learned that much.
So
Time
I'm going to
zones,
try to
dude.
tune in if I'm not sleeping. Normally I'm out of bed by then. I mean, my
Yeah.
sleeping schedule has been so weird in the mornings with my stomach the way it's been. So I could be up at 7 a.m. I could be up at 11, but hopefully I'll be up at 10 and I'll definitely have to put the lurk. Yes. 9 a.m. Central. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, you come in whenever you can or want to.
Yes. I will be there
So
right
me
on
and
time. if I
Hameda,
can.
if you guys know who Hameda is going to be on. Then there are a couple other people that I have not seen too much of.
Yeah.
But Sixios is my fellow Swedish, the only Swedish person I know who does music streams, who I gotten to know in Paris. So we're going to do a collab in January probably because we've moved it.
Awesome.
And his channel. So he's going to host it. So that's going to be an interesting challenge, I'd say,
Yeah.
to be with musicians as a non-musician.
You
And
are.
Jif cannot put in my command in here. That's why I'm doing this on purpose now.
That's great.
But also, Just promoting my channel, I guess, a little bit. I do have these things, like I have guests on from time to time. Erin has been on for twice on my channel. I've had a lot of guests the past couple of years. So I try to do that once a month or so if I manage to get people on. And then I'm going to start Wednesday walk days. So we're going to stream that when I go on walks. So people
I
can
love that.
either you can watch me walk, because I wanted to do something more health related and we reached a goal. So we're going to do Wednesday walks. I'm going to go out for walks because I need to force myself on weekdays when I work more. So I'm going to get some health out of that. Maybe someone wants to walk and doesn't have anyone else to walk with. You can watch the stream and we can chat at the same time.
That's nice. I love that.
Or otherwise, you can just sit at home and watch me walk, I guess.
Are there going to be skateboards involved? Asking for a friend.
I just got my skateboard today. I did do skateboarding when I was younger, and when I was very sick, I kind of got back to core values or something because my brain was like so turned off. There's a system that goes on when you can't think about anything, like you can't plan or stuff. And that system made me remember when I used to skateboard and that I liked it because I was very focused on. You can't focus on a lot of different things when you do that. So it's a kind of a mindfulness thing, I guess.
Yeah.
So I did find a skateboard on sale, like even more than half off. So I bought it.
I can't say I blame you.
So
we
might
love a
do
good sale.
skateboarding streams. I think I need to do a goal for that, though.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And depending on
a bunch of things.
depending on when you go walking, I'll be like, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna stick my headphones in and try to walk with you, maybe. But it's also cold here, and I know it's cold there for you too. But you're probably not gonna do it till like the springtime anyway. Potentially.
I'll do it in January.
Oh, will you? Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I'm like, I have
gross.
this philosophy of like, it doesn't matter come rain or snow or sunshine. I need to go for walks. My health is not going to get better just because it's too cold. It's going to get better from me going on those walks. So I have kind of a discipline in that.
That's fair.
But I've lost it because I've had a lot of physical activity at work.
Yeah. I wish I could say the same, because if I go walking for 20 minutes in the cold, my health does get worse. So I wish that were true for me, sadly.
Well, I guess it depends on the person also. Like, I'm just talking about myself, not like everyone should go for a walk.
I wish. Oh, I know you're not. I can't, like, of all people, I know that you're not doing that. I do hate it when people do that, though. It's like, bro, that's not how this works. But once it's nicer outside, I will go walk with you. But I do want to let you go. It's going on 10 o'clock for you. It's going on almost 4 o'clock for me. And we had a lovely chat today. Thank you so much. And I know that you're still trying to rest and recover until you got to go back to work and all the things. And so I'm so glad that you felt well enough to chat today. Yes, all the claps for Joswefi. And you wrote an amazing song. Congratulations on the release, because I haven't spoken to you. I've only texted with you.
Yeah, you couldn't have spoken to me last week. I didn't have a voice.
And you smashed through 1,000 listens on Spotify within the first 5 days, I think. I think it was a couple days ago.
Can we please change this?
I'm sorry.
To, like, congratulations to you on producing a great song and all the things you've done on it. And actually, you've been promoting it so much. So I need to thank you for that, because I was like in the bottom of my couch, like just like half, I don't want to be dramatic, but like half dying. I don't wish this thing that I had upon my like worst enemy. It's been kind of a dramatic 2 weeks. Even my mom was worried and was like, we need to go to the doctors, So thank you for that and for promoting it so much.
Of course.
Being a great human being.
Oh, ditto.
And talented as well. And thank you for inviting me.
Oh my God, of course. Trish was like, look, y'all, it's a no you in real time. No you. It is, yeah. It's always a no you fight with streamers.
It's the Oscars.
Yes. But here's the thing, and that's what it is like, you wrote a really beautiful song, and I will take credit for the parts that I did. But at the end of the day, you wrote a beautiful song. So thank you for bringing it to the table. Thank you for sharing it with me. Thank you for sharing it with the world. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. Because a lot of the time I don't get to thank the people after the fact. I see them in the studio and then I'm like, hey, thank you. And then it comes out 3 months later and I don't get to talk to that person again. So I'm so glad that we've started building a relationship in so many different ways, and that you came to chat today, and yeah, all that stuff. And yeah, I hope that your rest and recovery goes on an upward swing and you can get better, and it just keeps getting better. And yeah, that's all. Thank you. You got like so many claps.
I'm very grateful for everyone in this community and my community and Carmela's. Like, I have so many crossover people.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for Twitch, like in that sense, and all the people that I've got to meet here. So
yeah,
it's really cool that guys have supported me in this weird journey where I'm still not a musician but a health coach. Just had to say that the last time.
I was gonna say had to get it in there one more time, eh?
I'm not a musician. Listen, I'm not a musician.
Well, with that, musician Joswefi is going to leave now. No, but I will make this part of the VOD available as soon as I can on YouTube. I'll edit it down and it'll be available in like 24 hours from whenever we switch over here. And I'm going to play music for a little while as well. I think you've given me the spoons to play music for a little while. So thank you for that. Nice. Yes, the title of the next CD. You're going to have to do a compilation, and it's just called Not a Musician.
There may be, I don't want to jinx it, but there may be more collabs in the future. I have not a billion ideas that I may have thrown at people already.
Not that at all.
No, I never plan.
Well, we will be talking to you soon. Thank you again for joining us. Keep resting, keep recovering, sending you all of the healing vibes.
Yeah, right back at you.
Thank you. All right. Bye.